Hello and welcome everyone to the XML PM from Start to Publish presentation. Today we'll discuss the Health Canada's XML PM initiative and how I4I can assist. There's lots of information to cover and we'll have a Q&A session to follow. Before we get started, I just want to go over some regular housekeeping. Be sure to have your microphone on mute, and if you use a phone to listen to the presentation, please make sure your computer audio volume is off. After the presentation, questions are welcomed. You can unmute yourself and ask the question verbally. Alternatively, you may also type them into the chat panel. Please be sure to send them to everyone. If you don't see the chat button, click the View menu and select the Show Meeting Controls option. I'll do my best to get to all your questions. The agenda for today's presentation include welcome and introductions, an overview on XML PM, and then we'll take a look with a live demo on how we can seamlessly migrate a Word product monograph to XML PM and see how the A4L validation works. Finally, we will move to the Q&A portion and answer any questions you have. Let us begin today's presentation. First off, let me introduce myself and I4I. I am Amanpreet Kant, and I oversee I4I's conversion services team, work closely with clients, and coordinate global labeling projects. Now, let me also introduce you to our company, I4I. I4I is a Canadian company. We made our mark in pharmaceutical structured labeling, working closely with the US FDA on the implementation of the industry's first eLabelling initiative based on the Health Level 7 Structured Product Labeling Standard in 2004. To support SPL, we adapted our patented XML encoding technology and brought A4L Professional to market, offering industry an in-house authoring tool that plugs into Microsoft Word to create, edit, validate, and publish compliant product labels in XML format quickly and easily. In 2017, we began working with Health Canada on the initiative for structured product monographs, which is now known as XML PM and follows the Health Level 7 SPL eLabelling standard. I4I has been developing structured content solutions for over 25 years. And for over 20 years, our focus has been on the life sciences industry, providing solutions to create and manage compliant regulatory labeling submissions based on the electronic standards adopted by various health authorities around the world. Today, we provide services to over 90 pharmaceutical companies. Here are our products and services suite. Regulatory Assist is our eLabelling services division, supporting clients globally to comply with health authority regulatory submission formats. A4L Professional is our desktop structured authoring application, and A4L Enterprise is our full workflow and process management platform. Both are available for the future ongoing management of XML PM updates and submissions to Health Canada. Let's take a look at a brief overview on XML PM. So what is an XML PM? The XML PM is a structured format submission which holds more information than the current product monograph. The XML file can be viewed in the Health Canada style sheet, which also provides the benefits of searchability and accessibility. Along with the native text from your current product monograph, the XML PM also includes metadata and controlled vocabularies, which we'll go over in the live presentation. I'm going to now discuss the migration process from product monograph to XML PM using one of our in-house tools, A4L Professional, a Microsoft Word-based plugin that we use to create, edit, validate, and publish product labels in the XML format, ensuring compliance and efficiency. And during the presentation, I'd like to touch upon a few things that make A4L extremely user-friendly and efficient for creating XML PM formatted documents from a Word product monograph. So before I demonstrate the application live, I'm going to walk you through the migration workflow. For step 1, I'll begin by opening an existing Word product monograph from 2016 or later formats. For step 2, I'll transfer the content from this document into the A4L Pro's latest master XML PM template, which will become our A4L XML PM working document. Next, for step 3, I'll use the Add Markup feature in A4L to structure the content according to Health Canada's XML PM product monograph requirements. Once structured, in step 4, I'll proceed to add metadata, and in step 5, I'll validate the document to ensure it complies with Health Canada's validation rules. After the validation, in step 6, I'll publish the working document to generate the XML PM along with its associated images in a folder. Finally, for step 7, I'll use the finalized primary language, English XML PM in this case, to create the French translation framework, completing the migration process. Now, I will demonstrate the migration process in real time. On my screen, to the left, I have the Word product monograph, and to the right is a published XML PM viewed in the Health Canada style sheet on a web browser. I'll now show you how to migrate this Word product monograph to a well-formed XML PM. Since A4L is a plugin for Word, I'll begin by accessing Microsoft Word's File menu, navigating to the specialized A4L templates, and then selecting which of the 6 XML PM templates I want to base my XML PM on. Health Canada has one master template, but A4L has these starter templates available to begin with. For example, there are starting documents for NOC, Schedule C, Schedule D, etc. All 6 of these documents represent the latest Health Canada 2024 Master PM template. But to begin, they contain only the sections relevant to the type of submission you are creating. And each has the capability to insert any and all sections from the master template. So I'll select the XML PM standard template. So document is displayed with all the standard text, including the document's title page, the table of contents, and all the standard default sections. Now each section has 2 parts, a heading and a body. And these are enclosed within these gray boxes, which are words content controls. The heading and the body structure replicates the structure required by XML PM. Headings are mapped automatically to Health Canada's standard headings, and the coding for each heading title is automatically applied by A4L in the background. The heading numbers are fixed and are not renumbered as per the guidance, since they are managed as controlled vocabularies. The body section is where you add your content. Now, along with the regular word ribbons, there's an additional ribbon that you can use for this template labeled A4L. On the A4L ribbon, there are various options that are specific to helping to author XML PM documents. There is Validate to ensure that the document is consistent with Health Canada's XML PM validation procedures and that it will pass their technical validation upon final submission. There is Preview to see what the XML PM will look like before you even generate a file for submission. And there are various additional authoring buttons that are most commonly used during the authoring process. In addition, you can use regular Word functions as well. For example, bold, italic, underline. You can use the list formatting. We can go to the Insert tab to insert tables, images. We can go to the Review tab to work in track change mode or add comments. We can also turn on the navigation pane in the View tab, etc. As you're working in MS Word, you can use all Word functions. However, not everything is permitted by Health Canada for an XML PM, and A4L's validation helps us keep a check on those unwanted formatting rules, such as different font color or style, etc. So those will be caught, and most of them will be automatically fixed by A4L during XML PM publishing. And we'll see an example of this validation check when we cover the validation portion. So this is our framework. Now, to convert our 2016 or later Word product monograph to XML PM, I'll copy the content from my Word product monograph that I had opened initially, and then paste it into the Convert from Word section in the A4L template we had opened. I'll now start by using the markup feature on the A4L ribbon that automatically applies the necessary XML structure to the content when it is brought over from a regular Word document into the structured A4L template. First message is just confirming that I want to create a structured document. So I'll click yes. Next one is confirming that all empty default sections in the document will be removed and the document will be marked up as per Health Canada's requirements. So I'll say yes. So during this process, A4L does all of the heavy lifting in the background. The software automatically recognizes the section heading styles as well as the heading text, which is essential for structuring the document. As it processes each section, the software not only applies the appropriate structure around the section content, but also automatically inserts the corresponding heading codes. This ensures that both the heading content and the section content are properly identified. So this could take anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes, depending on the length of the document and also how many sections and subsections are going to be created. So it shows how many sections were created. At the end of the process, the Manage Sections dialog is displayed. So I can review how these sections and subsections have been formed, as well as their structure, and ensure that the heading hierarchy is accurately represented. So I'll expand these sections to see the subsections, and I can also locate any sections that might not be one of the sections on the Health Canada section heading controlled vocabulary list that were formed during the migration process. And those sections are labeled as generic sections as they don't have Health Canada codes related to them. So here we can see that section 4.1 was migrated as a generic section because its heading text didn't match with Health Canada's latest controlled vocabulary terminology. And this is normal to see, especially when you're moving from 2016 to latest template, as the section headings have undergone some updates. So in A4L, I can easily resolve this by editing the section type, which shows us the latest terminology and changes my generic section to a Health Canada defined section with a click of a button. So once our narrative text is updated, I will go to the top of the document to update the placeholder text in the title page. I'll add the sponsor name and address, the date of authorization. So if you happen to have the control number, you can enter that in the control number body. Or if it's not available, you can also leave it blank and then enter it once it is available to you. Next, I'll update the recent major label changes section, or the RMLC section. And because it's brand new XML PM, I can add text indicating that there's no recent changes. So the next thing I need to do is add metadata in the A4L working document, which is the biggest addition to regular product monographs and is one of the big features of XML PM. This is entered in the XML PM menu via the A4L ribbon, and it's entered in 2 steps: product data elements and company information. First, I'll open the product data elements dialog that contains the manufactured product metadata. From here, I can enter your data in the free text fields or select values from the Health Canada's controlled vocabulary lists. Now, each item in the list is associated with a specific code, and that is handled by A4L in the background. The author simply needs to select an item from the drop-down menu or complete the text box. Now, each field in the dialog is also linked to Health Canada's validation checks. So I need to ensure that all of the mandatory information is completed. And A4L's dialog validation helps us to ensure that we comply with Health Canada's requirements by checking for all mandatory information being present. Now, since I'm creating from scratch, I can enter this data manually. However, I happen to have an existing XML PM file with the metadata filled out already. So in that case, I can make use of A4L's import feature to import the metadata from an existing XML PM. And I can do the same for the company information as well. After the import, I can go back to the metadata dialogs and take a look at our import result. So here we can see that all of the information has been successfully imported. I can also make changes if needed. For example, I can update the effective date in the company information dialog. So I can select today's date or a date in future. And then I can run the dialog validation to ensure all the mandatory data is populated. Now let's save the document locally before we talk about validation. So with A4L, the validation is also integrated. This means that you can test that your document is compliant with the health authorities formatting and validation rules at any time during the authoring process. This validation capability alerts you to any potential problems before you submit, reducing delays caused by multiple submissions. It's important to note that Health Canada does not currently offer a publicly available validation tool for this process. This is where our validation feature becomes essential. It ensures that the metadata is applied correctly per Health Canada requirements during the authoring phase, which is crucial for the migration process. By confirming that your file is both valid and compliant, the validation helps prevent issues down the line. So I'm going to click on the Validate button. So A4L's validation produces two reports, the readiness report and the validation report. First, it opens the readiness report. So the readiness report works on the Word view of the file. It informs you of any Word formatting issues you might have, and this is great for XML PM readiness. It is also useful when submitting a Word product monograph. Here, the readiness report lists all the formatting tests that it has performed, and it indicates if the test has passed or not. If a test has not passed, a warning or error message provides the user with details about the issue. You can see that it points out inconsistencies in our file. So there's an image alternate text error, which means that a file, which is an image file, which is found in section 13, does not have the image alternate text, and we need to fix this as it is mandatory per Health Canada's regulations. And there's also some font style and sizes that are different than others. And this is the example I had mentioned earlier. So A4L will automatically fix the formatting concern in the final published XML PM. So the content will be published and the unwanted formatting will be automatically removed. Now, if we go back to the working document, A4L is asking if I would also like to run the second report, which is the next tier of our validation process called the validation report. So I'll click yes. Now, this process is done on your final published XML PM. During the validation process, the Word version of the XML PM is converted to the XML version of the file. And as you can see, all of the content and metadata are transformed into the compliant Health Canada XML format, and the embedded images are converted to JPEG files. The validation is then performed to ensure that the file conforms to the health authorities' guidance. If any violation of the rules is caught, the report indicates both where and what needs to be fixed before you can publish your product label for submission. So here on the validation report, we see an error related to a media in section 13. So this could be linked to the readiness report error. and certain errors can be resolved by fixing one issue. Then if we scroll down, we see there's also a failure for the missing control number within the metadata. And so it's okay to leave it blank for your initial submission, but if you happen to have it available, then you can add it now, or you can also add it later once it's available to you. But please make sure to never use placeholders. So we'll fix these errors and rerun the validation. So in my working document, I will open the product data elements dialog and run the dialog validation, which tells us that the control number cannot be left blank. So if it's available, we will enter it now and save. Next, we will take a look at the image in section 13 and add the alternate text. And once we are done fixing the errors, we can rerun the validation. So the readiness report shows us that the image tests have passed. And we'll continue with the final validation report as well. All right, so our final validation report has passed as well. Next, I'll use the preview functionality in A4L and click on the preview button. So Health Canada has a style sheet that can be used to view the XML PM files in a web browser. In A4L, we have this built-in functionality to display your file using this style sheet while you're authoring your document. That way, you can verify that the content looks as you expect even before you generate a final submission-ready file. So this is how the XML PM looks like in the Health Canada style sheet view. We have the navigation pane to the left. Okay, so now I'm at my final step. So far, I've added the content, the metadata, I've run the validation, and verified the preview. Now, finally, I can publish the document to various different outputs. I can publish it to XML PM, PDF, or to Word format to clean or annotated. So the structured template or the A4L working document can be used to create the usual Word product monograph, and the changes can be made right here while having track changes on to create an annotated copy, and A4L will preserve the track changes or comments or highlights that you add. The Word publish is what is used during the review with Health Canada, and the XML PM publish is used for the initial and final ECTD submission. So I'm going to publish to XML PM format and follow the prompt. So it's asking me to select a directory to publish and give it a name. Now it's asking me whether this is the first version of this file being sent to Health Canada. Note, if so, a new set ID will be generated. So set ID is something that remains consistent throughout the life of an XML PM. So if we didn't want it updated, we would have clicked no, but because this is the very first version and we want A4L to assign a new set ID, I'll click yes. Now, during publishing to XML PM, A4L is going to rerun the validation to ensure it's compliant to the Health Canada's regulation. So it opens the readiness report, and we'll go back to a working document and continue with the publishing process. So it tells us that your file has been successfully published to the following location. So when publishing to the XML PM format, it generates a folder that contains an XML file as well as the associated images in the folder. And this folder can then be used for submission purposes. And with that, I can preview the file in the web browser to take a look at my final result. So I'll reload this in IE mode. And here we can see that it is the same as what we saw during the preview. And we can use the navigation pane to scroll through the XML PM. And we can also click on the product details, which is our metadata available at the bottom of the preview. So this completes the migration of a product monograph to an XML PM using our Word-based A4L Professional software. Now finally, as you probably know, XML PM files must be submitted in both official languages. In A4L, you can easily have the document headings and metadata translated into the secondary language. So I'll also quickly touch upon the translation portion of XML PM. I'll first create a copy of my English file to French, which is our secondary language in this scenario, but of course, you could have it other way around as well. So when the primary language is complete, the document's controlled vocabularies from Health Canada, including the section headings, as well as the metadata, are easily translated into the secondary language control vocabularies by using the Select Language button on the A4L ribbon and selecting the secondary language. And this simplifies the translation process and ensures consistency across both language versions. So now it says that the section headings have been translated that come from the Health Canada controlled vocabulary list to their French equivalent terminologies for the narrative text section headings. This will also change the field labels and controlled vocabularies in the metadata dialogues. So we'll open the product data elements and take a look at our translation. So for any terminologies that are not available on the official list, A4L will highlight those in red, in which case you can reach out to Health Canada to request the addition of that terminology on the official Health Canada CV list. Thereafter, you could publish this to Word and then provide it to your translation vendor or internal translator to translate it to French. And once the translation is complete, it can then be brought into A4L using the same markup feature that we saw earlier for our primary language. We're ready to move on to the Q&A portion of our session. If you haven't already sent in your questions, then please feel free to do so now using the WebEx Q&A panel, or you can also simply unmute yourself and ask. As this is a live demo, I can also show you any authoring related steps that you'd like to see, such as how to create a table or how to add an image, etc. And we can also schedule a one-on-one call to go over more scenarios for XML PM in detail. Therefore, please feel free to reach out to us to request a more personalized demonstration. Also, if you're watching the recording of this presentation and you want to send us a question, please contact our i4I team at contact@i4i.com. All right, I know we're a little over time, but if there's any more questions that I couldn't answer today, I will reach out to you personally, and thank you for attending our webinar, and I hope you found this session informative. Again, if you have any other questions for us, or if you would like to know more about how we can help you comply with Health Canada's XML PM requirements, please send us an email at contact@i4i.com. And thank you again, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.